Hey, I'd like to ask everybody to take their seats. We're about to start. Good evening, Ms. Hearn. Somebody find a light switch. I think that would help. I'll turn off the lights. No. All right. Good evening. The regular meeting of the Moorestown Township Board of Education is called to order. This meeting is called in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act with adequate notices provided as follows. Notice filed with the Courier Post July 1, 2021 and filed with Burlington County Times July 1st, 2021. I'd like to ask now if we could have a moment of silence and maybe keep in mind the community of Buffalo, New York that suffered a horrific tragedy over the weekend. Thank you, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Mr. Heiser, could you please take the roll?
Dr. Alberti.
Here.
Mrs. Arcaro Burns. Mrs. Fallows Macaluso. Mrs. McCopolis. Mrs. Moreno.
Present.
Mr. Romano. Mr. Villanueva. Here. Dr. Snyder. Mr. Weeks.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heiser. So we already had and returned from executive session. So moving on to routine matters, may I I will request a motion for the approval of the minutes from the April 26th executive session and regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions, one abstention. Okay, thank you. Okay, any communications?
Just wanted to highlight that May 26th, Burlington County School Board Association is having a back to in-person meeting for anyone who wants to register and attend. Would love to have you join that event.
Thank you, Ms. Romano. Anybody else? Okay, then, moving on to President's remarks. So good evening, and thanks to everyone for attending to observe this Board of Education meeting. With the change in the weather, which we all hope will hold, I'm sure, hopefully no more cold snaps, it's starting to feel as if we are in the home stretch for the school year. This past year has had its challenges, and though we still have a few more weeks to surmount, I feel good about our direction and the work being done to get us there. Among the areas where work remains to be done is finalizing the MEA contract. While we have made good and significant progress, we are not quite there yet. However, I know we are on the right track and that the negotiating committee and the full board are eager to do everything we can to get a fair settlement. As I have said during the last few meetings, we are deeply committed to doing everything we can to take care of those who've taken care of our learning community while upholding our responsibilities to the larger community. Speaking of the larger community, though, through various forms of feedback, it has been brought to our attention that recently as a district, we did not do our best when it comes to one community in particular. We have a significant Muslim community in our town, and many recently celebrated Eid al-Fitr, the holiday celebrating the end of the month-long fasting of Ramadan. State testing was scheduled for that day, the first day for that holiday, and many parents brought it to our attention that it seemed a significant challenge for their students and their families. As one parent put it, quote, "Each year we send emails to the schools to educate them regarding our major holidays. And yes, we always throw in the comparison with Christmas. It's bad enough that our kids don't have a day off for Eid, and then to deal with the stress of missing classes or after school fatigue is unfair." To these and others affected by this oversight, let me begin by apologizing. Mr. Volpe and I have begun conversations about how the district can better address these concerns going forward. Thank you to those who have brought this to our attention and your offers to help with the dialogue going forward. As a district, we strive to be inclusive and responsive to all members of our community, and we truly thank you for the opportunity to get better in this area. Excuse me. Finally, I would like to note that we are appreciative of all the financial support we get from the community, but I want to specifically note the Moorestown Home and School Association for their support of the Care Solace program. While the Moorestown Home and School Association does many things for our district, as our students recover from the stresses of the past couple of years with the pandemic, having the counseling connections as a result of this program will provide much needed access to assistance. As we accept this donation tonight, please know how much we appreciate it. Thanks, and that concludes my remarks. Mr. Volpe.
Thank you, President Weeks. And first, I want to say I reiterate and can only say due to ignorance, and I'm learning myself, and I hope we all continue to be lifelong learners. I want to be sensitive to everyone's major holidays, and I'll make a better job of that going forward. I also want to apologize on the agenda. That does say something about a Hibbs self-assessment presentation. If you were really looking forward to that, I have to apologize. I'm 6 months early in putting that on an agenda. So if you come back in November, we'll have that prepared for you then. But as far as my regular comments, by the time of our next board meeting, we'll only be a couple of days away from graduation. Until that time, there is still much work to do and many special events to look forward to in each of our schools. Our remaining days this year are going to be filled with orientation programs, festivals, concerts, and field days. It is my sincere hope that you and your children are able to enjoy some of these events between now and the end of the school year. As you know, Burlington County, or as you may know, Burlington County has returned to the orange activity level for COVID transmission. We received this information on May 11th. Since that time, I have been in contact with my administrative team, corresponded with board members, gotten information from 18 other Burlington County superintendents, and continue to review our daily COVID numbers, which are always available on our website for your review. Based on all this information, it has been decided that the Moorestown Township Public Schools will be remaining mask optional. Even though the county overall has jumped back to orange as a region, we are not seeing a commensurate rise in testing positive. Following up with students and staff who have tested positive, it does appear as if the current strain of the virus prepares primarily as cold and flu-like symptoms. Furthermore, the Board of Health has not contacted us pertaining to any concerns in our schools. That being said, we will be implementing some additional mitigation strategies during this time, such as providing masks on buses, in schools, and at school events to both students and parents if they wish. If anybody in here right now wants a mask, we have them back here, and I promise we will have them every time we gather together if you want them. We will also take some reasonable precautions, such as opening windows on all of our buses during the transport of students and continuing to clean them after students are off. Principals have been encouraged to allow outdoor instruction as appropriate, as well as getting outside when possible for breaks and snacks. We will also look to open windows in classrooms for optimal air circulation. Buildings will increase announcements and reminders about proper hygiene practices, social distancing when possible, and most importantly, staying home when feeling ill, no matter what special event is taking place at the school. And that is really the most important thing. Pertaining to upcoming state testing, students in grades 10 and 12 will not be involved in the upcoming NJSLA testing. Given that the high school is testing at 2 grade levels, we will need to utilize all staff to ensure the optimal testing environment for students and optimal test security protocols for the district. For students not testing, this means that the high school will be on a 2-hour delay schedule during the week of the 23rd through the 27th in order to accommodate for the NJSLA exams. Notification was already sent to high school families about the testing schedule, but if you have further questions, please reach out to the high school administration. When it comes to curriculum, you may remember my comments from last month where I stated that we would be bringing a more detailed sample health and PE curriculum guide to the curriculum committee of the board later this week. I believe it's Thursday morning. Once more specificity in our guides are provided and reviewed, it is my intent to have all such guides posted on our website before the start of the next school year. After I announced that at our last board meeting, the New Jersey Senate Education Committee introduced S2481, and the New Jersey Assembly Education Committee introduced A3968. In short, among a few other things, the New Jersey legislature is looking to pass a law stating exactly what I already said we would do here in Moorestown. If and when these bills are reconciled and passed into law, we'll make sure we're aligned with all requirements. If by some reason they are not, we will still be following through on the steps I previously stated. As we move forward with these efforts, I will communicate our progress out to the community. Okay, I wanted to make sure that was behind me. Finally, as we move into next school year, I want to be clear with the community and all of our staff as to our efforts in using grants from federal funds related to COVID over the past 2 years and into next year. I know that not everyone in the room tonight is an accountant. I'm pretty sure of that. I know not everyone wants to read a highly detailed small type spreadsheet. So tonight I'm sharing a color-coded graphic that tells a story so that even English majors like me can make sense out of it. And is it Mr. Ari who's scrolling up and down? Jeff, can you scroll up and down just so they can kind of see? Okay, you can just scroll up. Yeah, thanks. This document is going to be posted on our website for all of us to see at any time. It's going to show our actual spending in 2021. Once the school year concludes this year, our actual spending in 21-22 and budgeted spending in 22-23. To help tell this story, each of the different grants will be color-coded, and the side column will have our buckets of spending, where it will be clearly delineated, showing items purchased for facilities and operations, programming and professional development, staffing, and technology. While I won't be going over all these details tonight, I really don't want to put everyone to sleep. They will clearly be posted on our website no later than the end of this week, and will remain there as a reference that people can return to. Should anyone have any questions after reviewing the document behind me, either I or a member of my administrative team would be more than happy to respond to further questions that the community has in this area. I know it has been a concern about what are we spending with federal grants and how are we doing it. It will be laid out for you perfectly, and I invite anyone to contact me at any time if you have any further questions after reviewing that document. Other than that, it continues to be my pleasure in my first 5 months here to see all the efforts that are going on in the classrooms. I look forward to a great end of the school year. And for any of you who are elementary teachers, I will be coming to each and every elementary school field day. It is the highlight of my June every year, no matter what district I am in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Volpe. Okay, moving on. Like to hear from our student board representatives. So I guess Ms. Herring, you'll take senior privilege and go first.
Can I turn this? Is that okay? wonderful audience effects.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Claire Hearn, and I am the senior class liaison. Now, that is not the first time I said that today. I was walking into school this morning, clearly super on time, even early. But Mr. Seibel sees me in the hallway as I'm making my round, saying hi to Officer Clayton, Mr. Har. He goes, "Claire, you're going to do the morning announcements." All right. So I hadn't checked my pocket calendar, and I start this morning at 7:35 and go, "Good morning, MHS. My name is Claire Hearn. I'm your senior class liaison, and today is March 18th. I soon learned it wasn't. Mr. Miller, my physics teacher, shout out, was one of 14 teachers who came up to me in the hallway today and said, "Hey, no." Glad I can make everybody laugh. My friend was recording me because she was also there, and she was like, "I'm getting this on camera," and she made the right decision. So that is just the perfect way to, it's kind of like an omen for the rest of my senior year, I believe. But that is all right. So I am going to hop back a little bit. I was unfortunately under the weather for our last meeting. So I didn't get to talk about senior trip. But I honestly had the best time. Miss Russo and Mr. Lawless were bus one. That was me. They were our advisors for that. And it was just a great time. And it was really like unifying with with the whole school. And there were some rocky parts. I don't know if everybody heard or was a part of the Moorestown parents Facebook page. But yeah, there were some rocky starts. It was a lot. But Mr. Seibel worked relentlessly. I personally wasn't too affected being on Southwest Airlines. Also with Mr. Seibel, which just like was a coincidence that he got there on time. All right. No, but if you saw him for the next 3 days, he was on the phone with the travel agents I'd never heard of. He worked so hard. The entire administration, chaperones were staying up till 3 a.m. every night to try and get all the kids in get all the kids with their room keys and in order. And we were exhausted. They were exhausted. Some harsh words were exchanged, but by the end, we were all singing Kumbaya and really enjoying the trip. And it was really nice to be in all the different parks. We had park hoppers, so you could go anywhere. But that really meant that you ran into different groups at anywhere you went. You would go on a ride with 5 different people and then meet up with someone else for dinner. And I honestly found like this new, like really tight group of friends. And I had a really weird senior year. So it was really nice to like end it now going to college in 2 months. And now I have my best friends. That's okay. But it was really nice. I met all these new people, which just like led to the perfect end to senior year. And I think I like really like came full circle with this high school experience. And I definitely want to thank administration for working super, super hard and just giving us the best trip they could with, you know, COVID and just Disney and Spirit Airlines. So like that was a lot to deal with. But it was really great and really thankful that I had that opportunity. And now I'd like to talk about graduation, which not according to the date that I delivered this morning. It is in 1 month today. It's not March 18th. But I'm so excited. As a madrigal, we are performing at graduation. So we have to memorize the ever famous alma mater, which we always like pull out. It's this like little sheet of paper with like 2 lines of text, and you just kind of sing it at the end. And the band is pretty loud. Mr. Schmidt, hello. He'll also be conducting. Yeah, but I'm really excited. And we sing the Irish Blessing. If you've ever been to any of like a big madrigal event, we always finish with the Irish Blessing. And we had to teach our newest members the Irish Blessing the other week, and just automatic tears. And I adopted a little junior this year, and just like we started gushing tears. And we're going to, on Friday, festival in the parks. We're going to Six Flags to sing. So I think we're gonna like sing at the top of King Dakar and then like fall down. It's gonna be super fun. Yeah, so we're singing the Irish Blessing there, and it's the first song we sing. So now I'm gonna be completely choked up and crying, and then I have to sing Alleluia and groping. It'll be okay. We'll get through it. Yeah, excited for graduation. Student council's working really hard to get everything together. I think the sophomores have to do like a pre-dinner. I kind of like blocked that out because we don't really do as much senior year. We just get to do the walking. But I'm super excited, and there's a lot to look forward to in these next couple of months. Thank you.
I was gonna say, follow that, Miss Emmel.
Claire is always hard to follow. She's such a good speaker. Hi, I'm Peyton Emmel. I am the junior class liaison, and I'm going to talk about prom. So after a long week of AP testing, we finally got a fun break on Friday, and we got to go to prom at the Doubletree Hotel in Cherry Hill. We had 565 students attend. Only 3 people bought tickets and didn't go. It was so much fun seeing everyone dressed up. The food was great. The venue was beautiful. It was just an awesome way to sort of end the year. That's all about prom. Short and sweet.
All right, good evening, board and teachers. My name is Jack Britton, and I'm here to update you a few things about the high schoolers. So first, we have another round of standardized testing next week. Freshmen will be testing from May 23rd to May 27th. They're taking language arts first, and they'll be doing math standardized testing. Juniors will be testing from Tuesday, May 24th through May 27th. Again, they'll be doing the science portion of the NJLSA or SLA. These tests are only for freshmen and juniors, and there will be a 2-hour delay for non-test takers. This obviously means we'll be following a modified schedule next week for class periods. I wish our freshmen and juniors the best of luck taking these tests next week, as I'll be at home sleeping. We also have something exciting for our students on Friday, May 27th, and it's going to be called the Quaker Games. This will be a pep rally type event like we do in Spirit Week, where we hold fun activities for an hour and students will compete from different grades against each other. And it'll be a fun end of the activity that we think the students will enjoy. And it's an original idea the student council came up with this year, and we hope it's something fun everyone can participate in. We try to come up with new events, such as ones called Small Bigfoot Race, Happy Hippo of Balloons, Human Bowling, and Water Balloon Toss, which is self-explanatory. And our freshman class liaison will tell you about more of them later in his speech. But we want to maintain the novelty of it, so it wouldn't be the exact same thing as pep rally. And we hope it's a fun thing to end the year off that our students can enjoy. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yvette. I'm your freshman class liaison. Nice to see almost every single seat taken except for front middle. Nobody wants to sit front middle. It's cool to see all my teachers here, the ones who were here last month, and I even see a couple who weren't here last month. I'm here to continue off on what Jack said and talk about finals. The rest of the 4 events we have are hippity hop race on the bouncy balls, musical chairs where we're hoping to get some viral Twitter clips, cornhole, and can jam frisbee smack. Now on to finals. We have 2 reading days as opposed to the 4 we had last time, but us freshmen are now seasoned veterans at these type of tests, so we're not really nervous. Last time, the reading days were very helpful, so it's a good thing we're getting those again. Thank you.
Thank you, students. That was quite entertaining. You guys keep that up. We're gonna have to institute a 2-drink minimum here, raise some money. But as with custom, as it's evolved, you're certainly welcome to stay. But if you'd like to get back to planning your next stand-up routine for next meeting, whatever you'd like to do. And also, actually, being the day before, the week of graduation, if you don't make it to the next meeting, you'll be here? Okay. All right. We're going to have a cover for the next meeting. Anyway, thank you very much. Have to comment. It's always wonderful to hear from our students. A few of them I've known since they were little, and it's just great to see them, as you all have, grow up and become, what will soon be great graduates and representatives of our community. So thanks again. Good job, everybody. All right, moving on. Now it's time for board committee reports. So who wants to go first? Alphabetical order? Want to go communication?
We did not meet.
Oh, that's right. We didn't meet. Yeah, we have a meeting coming up on the 26th now, right? Okay, so that one's easy. All right, let's move on. I'll just move down the line. Mr. Villanueva, please.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks. So Finance and Operations Committee met a couple weeks ago. The details of our meeting are set forth in the minutes, but I'll cover some of the highlights. We discussed the custodial bid that was underway last month, and you'll see set forth in item 7 under the superintendent's recommendations on the agenda tonight is an approval for Dave's custodial service, which was the the lowest qualified bidder. And so we will be hopefully approving Dave's to come in as our custodian, I believe on a 1-year deal, Mr. Heiser, for next year. We also discussed the transportation bid specifications and route reductions. As I had mentioned last month, we were non-renewed at the time for 11 of our 13 bus routes. And in the interim, the remaining 2 non-renewed us. So none of our bus routes were renewed by our vendors, but we went out to bid. And thanks to the good work of Mr. Heiser and our transportation supervisor, Sandy Schaefer, they looked at the bus routes, determined that we could consolidate some bus routes. And so we, instead of bidding 13 routes, we bid 11 routes. And we've received the bids, although they're not up for approval tonight, but I am pleased to report that it looks like we will be well within budget, which was a big surprise, at least for me, because I was very concerned that we were non-renewed and we were going to have a significant financial burden associated with it. But again, thanks to the good work of Mr. Heiser and Ms. Schaefer, we were able to realize some savings. And we also discussed a potential project for the WAMs, where there's going to be some outdoor seating prepared for. Could you point to exactly where that's going to be? Is it going to be? Right out front of the media center. Okay. So right out front of the media center, right next to the cafeteria, there's going to be a nice outdoor seating area for students to utilize for lunch. Thank you to, I hope this isn't premature, but thank you to Home and School that will be funding a significant portion of that project. Also on the agenda tonight is approval of Phoenix Advisors, which are our financial advisors for the district. They basically provide help on our disclosures that are required for municipalities on a system called EMMA. I'm not sure what the acronym stands for, but as I understand, it's a SEC related entity that Phoenix Advisors helps us with. We also discussed options as they pertain to a capital improvement grant that must be not spent this year, but we need to identify what the grant funds will be used for. So we discussed a number of options as set forth in the minutes, although I don't believe have yet come to a landing precisely on what we're going to use the funds for, but have a very good idea. So more on that to come. We, although it wasn't an agenda item, one thing that I would like to make sure continues to be on our agenda going forward are, I would like to monitor and keep apprised of the status of new housing, the timing of when we believe the new housing units will be completed, and the potential impact in terms of student enrollment. So that will be a recurring agenda item for finance and operations to take a look at. And that's about it. Those are the highlights from our meeting. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Hearing none, I'll hit mute.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Villanueva. We'll go to my right now, Ms. Romano.
We do not have a meeting this month. We'll meet on Thursday.
Okay. And then Ms. Macaro, are you giving us the policy?
I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
On May 3rd, the policy committee met, and it was myself, Mrs. Macaluso, Mrs. Morano, Dr. Snyder, Dr. Benton, and Mr. Volpe.
We discussed the high school student handbook, particularly the dress code language. The administration shared procedures for the dress code violations and the tiered consequences. The administration felt that the language gives sufficient discretion to help and counsel the students. They outlined the procedures that are being followed. The violations are centrally determined by administration to increase reliability of violation determination. A confirmed violation will be communicated to parent and guardian via Genesis. The administration also conveyed the intent to counsel and work with students discreetly before the incident were to escalate into discipline for the student in case there was any defiance in a change. And there are also a list of consequences, first referral being Genesis warning, second, after-school detention, parent notification, third, multiple after-school detentions and parent notification. The potential of that these tiered consequences could be too strict was also discussed, and those concerns will continue to be addressed. There were a handful of other handbook changes, including the explanation of the NJ graduation pathways, submitting service hours, sports participation fees, etc. We discussed policy 0143, the board member election and appointment. And we are in the middle of discussing how we can better formulate a policy surrounding appointing a new BOE member when one resigns. Also, policy 7510, use of school facilities. There was discussion surrounding the need for additional language in that policy. Something along the lines of the board prohibiting the use of school grounds and school time for partisan political purposes. And we are continuing to discuss that as a committee and will with the board. The policy that will be on or that's on this agenda for first reading is policy 2417, student intervention and referral services. It's a mandated policy. And it will be on, we hope, for second reading in June. And that is really related to the establishment of a coordinated system for planning and delivering intervention and referral services for students who are experiencing learning, behavioral, or health difficulties, and to assist staff who are having difficulties addressing the needs of those particular students. And I think, oh, last thing is there were no changes to any of the policies that were on for first reading that are now on for second reading.
Okay, thank you very much for that report. Any questions about policy, comments? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on. Thank you, everybody who reported out. So we are now to our first public comment period. This public comment period will be on agenda items. So please come up to the mic. I'm sorry, let's see. Yeah, I'll give the rules first and then we'll vote on starting it. So when we start, please come up to the mic and state your name and address, or as much of it as you're comfortable giving. You will have up to 3 minutes to speak. As this isn't a question and answer period, should you be seeking an answer or dialogue, it's always best to follow up with one of the other methods we have noted for communicating with the board and district administration. Please do not address board members individually. And finally, please be respectful in making public comment and note which agenda item your comment relates to. So I'll now entertain a motion to enter public comment for agenda items. Thank you. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. The first person up to the mic, please. Looks like you, Mr. Eagles. All right.
My name is Lorenzo Eagles. I'm at 88 Westbrook Drive. Starting my clock for my 3 minutes. Okay. I'm a teacher at the high school. And I am an internal optimist, sometimes naively so. When everyone else says there is no chance, I always believe you can never say never. So I'll admit I was more than hopeful when I left our last meeting. I mean, reasonable people can disagree, but you made me believe that we could get through this together, and I left believing. I soon found out that many of my colleagues felt the same way. In countless conversations, they expressed hope that a deal might get done. One said, there's no way they want a bruising contract negotiation now after 2 years of exhausting pandemic teaching. Another, something good is going to happen. Our difference can't be that great. Everyone else is settling. A third, okay, no one needs this now. All of us believe that reasonable people could find a way to agree. All of us look forward to our next negotiating meeting, hopeful for the best. Then the night of the meeting arrived, and we were there. On a beautiful Monday afternoon, nearly 400 MEA members showed up, ready, wanting to show you how seriously we are taking this, how much it matters to each of us. We were there, hoping and believing that a deal could get done, but you didn't show up. Not in person anyway. It would be Zoom for your team. So let me tell you, you missed a sight. This mattered to our team. They were dressed to the nines. Where's my man, Scotty Stilts? I hope he's here, right? If you know Scott would give you the shirt off of his back, but not that day. That suit was too nice, right? And Kyle Higgins, he sprinted to the administration building for our meeting. From a sporting event, he wanted to be in the room, okay, so he could look you in the eyes, okay, and get a deal done. But of course, you weren't even there. Later, we heard that in the nearly 6 hours of negotiations, we never saw your faces. At times, you kept our team waiting hours on end for your responses. Our team was staring at blank Zoom screens. Don't you realize the message that this sent to all of us? You are killing our hope, our belief that we are in this together, that we matter enough to you to get this done. To all of us, your absence that day spoke volumes. Again, I am an eternal optimist. I like to assume the best in people. And honestly, I don't really know any of you. So I want you to believe that this matters to you. I want to believe that it does, because I will tell you it matters to all of us. We're frustrated, we're tired, we're angry. Because of you, they, like me, okay, feel hope is slipping away. So please, as you mentioned in your opening remarks, okay, we're in the home stretch. The time to get this done is now. Again, my name is Lorenzo Eagles. I'm a proud member of the MEA, and this is why this is so personal to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eagles. Just one real quick, one thing I left out before we started. Our board attorney, Mr. Lee, is here. He'll be taking care of keeping time. Just to help everybody, he's going to give you a notice when you have about 10 seconds left. And then we'll be able to get everybody in tonight. So thank you.
Good evening, colleagues, Board of Ed, and community members. My name is Michael Sullivan, and I'm a special education teacher at the high school. I'd like to address the topic of the president's report. Tonight, I'd like to take a minute to highlight a very important fact. That fact is that we, the staff members of Moorestown School District, do in fact contribute to our health benefits. Not only do we contribute to those health benefits, we contribute at a much higher rate than the private sector. In other words, our salaries are lower than the private sector, while our out-of-pocket contributions are greater. I'd like to dispel the myth that exists that our benefits are free. They're not. Trust me, every 2 weeks when I get paid and I look at the deductions column on my paycheck, I'm reminded of my contributions to health benefits. The fact is, we all contribute to our health benefits, and there is currently no freeze on these contributions. But without a settlement, there will be a freeze on our salaries. So if a settlement is not reached Next year, our healthcare contributions will continue to go up as our salaries and real income will continue to go down. Now for a personal fact to further illustrate my point, or more accurately, to further illustrate my frustration. My take-home pay has not increased since 2011, when the state decided to unilaterally deduct money from my paycheck and has done so ever since. Let me repeat that. My take-home pay has not increased since 2011. For more than a decade, I personally have helped you narrow the financial gap. I personally have endured a year-long pay freeze along the way. I lost money that year that I'll never get back. Every time we turn around, we lose money in our paychecks. We deserve better. Now it's time for you to step up and give us what we deserve, a fair contract. This is why it is personal to me. I teach at the high school, and I am the MEA.
Good evening. My name is Beth Glennon. I reside at 350 Bridgeboro Road. I teach math at the high school. I'd like to talk also about the president's remarks. I'm here to talk about numbers. During negotiations, the percent of a salary increase is a frequent measure of a contract. But like so many times numbers are used, the percent of a salary increase is only part of the story. I would like to bring to the public's attention that when the Board of Education settles a 3 years contract with the MEA, the board rarely, if ever, pays out that settlement. This difference is because of retirements, unfilled positions, and other adjustments that reduce the true amount of an increase. For example, in 2019, the Board of Ed reached an agreement for 10.91% over 3 years, but only paid out 7.02%. Let me say that one more time. In 2019, the board reached an agreement over 3 years with the MEA for 10.9%, but only paid out 7.02%. That's only 64% of the settlement. The MEA met with the board and James Heiser at the end of year 1 of the contract and pointed this out, that the settlement was 3.64% and they paid out just 1.8%. The numbers don't lie. The board never pays out a full settlement, and they certainly won't this time. The board has the money for a settlement. This is not about the ability to pay. This is about the willingness. My salary is frozen. My expenses are not. This is personal. So I ask the board to consider this when we make requests for salary increases in a town that is anything but average, because we go above and beyond every day. Know that much of the funds will never be used for our salaries. I am Beth Glennon. I teach math at the high school, and I'm a very proud member of the MEA.
Good evening, everyone. My remarks are to the crowd and hopefully to the Moorestonians that are in the crowd. I'd like to comment also on the president's report. I'd like to share the following information about the process and another reason we probably don't have a settlement. Our board has chosen to pay an attorney to negotiate for them. This board has chosen to pay an outsider from North Jersey who has no vested interest in settling this contract. And he has, to the tune of $7,000 to $8,000 a month since February, put that money in his pocket. He stands to make that amount in May and again in June. And yes, until this process unnecessarily drags on, he'll continue to make money. He has no skin in the game, none at all, except for his paycheck. And every time that phone rings or that email or text pings, this person gets paid. And all at the base of the Moorestown taxpayer. He has no interest in a settlement because of the cash cow that he is coming in. His goal is to make as much money as possible. And therefore, why would he want to settle with us? He doesn't. The board has the ability to sit down with our association. They'd rather pay an attorney from North Jersey to the tune of $23,000, which is approximately $3,000 more than a paraprofessional makes in our district. In closing, my name is George Trauger. I'm a fourth grade teacher at the UES, and I am the MEA.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Martin. I teach seventh grade science. Last week, the WAMS staff planned another SEL activity for the students at WAMS, which we have been doing since the beginning of the year. Last week, during this social and emotional learning lesson at WAMS, our dedicated staff worked with our students to help them create a 6-word story. The goal of the 6-word story is to take a powerful look at your life. As staff members, we decided to do the same, to take a hard look at our current status as employees in Moorestown. Here are several examples of 6-word stories created by the staff at WAMS.
Good evening. My name is Heather Foster. Dedication deserves respect, not expired contracts. I teach language arts at WAMS. This is why this is personal. I am a proud member of the MEA.
Good evening. My name is Allison Longmuir. Let's work together for the kids. I teach 7th grade math here at WAMS. This is why it's personal. I am a member of the MEA.
Hi, I'm Kristen Elliott. I teach 8th grade math here at WAMS. Hard work equals fair pay, period. This is why it's personal. I am also a very proud member of the MEA.
Hi, I'm Diane Brady. I teach math here at William Allen Middle School. Love teaching, love my family. Need a fair contract. I'm an 8th grade teacher at William Allen Middle School. I'm a proud person of the MEA. Thank you for your time.
My name is Matt Emerson. The kids come first. Settle now. I'm an inclusion teacher here at the middle school. I'm a proud member of the MEA, and this is personal.
Kimberly Martin again, 25 years, always committed. Are you? This is why this is personal. I teach 7th grade science, and I am an extremely proud member of the MEA.
Good evening. I'm Carol Wiggins. I live at 49 Cove Road, and I'm a 4th grade resource room teacher. I've been working at the UES since it opened in September of 2001, and I have lived in Moorestown for 22 years. The reason my husband and I moved to Moorestown was so that our 3 children would be able to attend Moorestown schools. All three of them graduated from Moorestown High School and have gone on to graduate from college and now have professional careers. Thank you, MTPS. The reputation of the district schools is known throughout the state and beyond. We have heard testimony right here at these meetings of countless people who credit the schools as a reason to move to Moorestown. Maybe it's even a reason that brought you here. However, with all the reasons to be a supporter of the schools, not having a signed contract is disappointing, anxiety producing, embarrassing, and poor business practice. I've been through several negotiations in my career in Moorestown and other districts, but I'm not sure I've ever been through a negotiation that feels like this one. And there have been tough ones. Let's not drag this on through the summer, keeping teacher tensions high and esteem low. A fair and speedy contract will benefit teachers and board members alike and give teachers purpose as we prepare over the summer to meet our new students in the fall. This spring, I am nervous. This spring, I have been This spring, I have been involved in interviews for open positions at the UES, and admitting that we do not have a contract in place for the 2022-23 school year has been quite frankly embarrassing. Many outstanding candidates will go elsewhere, and we will not be able to select from the best. We need a speedy resolution to be able to attract the most qualified teachers at all the schools in my district. My friends who teach in surrounding districts are amazed that we do not have a contract in place for next year, since many of them do. We are seen as a district with a reputation of having so many resources and so much to offer students and families, yet there's no agreement. A speedy resolution will put this embarrassment to rest. My family members and friends who work in private sector businesses cannot believe how the negotiations drag on. In the business world, problems must be solved quickly. Again, a quick resolution will benefit everyone.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Before I go, I am a proud member of the MEA.
Good evening. My name is Lori Beckendorf, and I have had the privilege and honor to be a teacher at South Valley for the past 17 years. I also had the privilege to grow up here in Moorestown. Sorry, this speech means a lot to me, and I actually asked to be able to do it. And I received a wonderful education from the fabulous teachers and coaches we have in this district, some of whom are in attendance here tonight. My parents moved to Moorestown because of the reputation of our schools. Many of my students' parents over the years have told me they chose Moorestown because of the schools. I am so proud to now be a part of the staff who had a large part in who I am today. I am even more proud of how we banded together over these past few unprecedented years. We were in the trenches, supporting the children in our care, supporting the overwhelmed parents, supporting our own children and families, supporting one another to keep the faith and get through what seemed impossible. There was no time for we can't or we're working on it. Instead, it was late nights prepping assignments and recording lessons, early morning extra Zooms where my incredible paraprofessionals would prep my students for their day or meet with them for a read aloud or writing conference, phone calls before and after school hours with my guidance counselor and fellow staff to brainstorm how we could help those who were struggling, extra Zoom time so that my students who were missing friends could have some time to catch up and chat, counseling students, parents, and each other, and of course, teaching. It is so incredibly disheartening to have to attend these board meetings again and to endure yet another salary freeze in my career. We now have to deal with the rising cost of living and insurance increases, all while making less money. Show us that you value what we do. Show us the respect we deserve. Settle a fair contract. This is why it is personal. I teach special education. I am the MEA.
Good evening. My name is Monica Bell, and I'm a school counselor at Moorestown High School. I am the MEA. I was the MEA when I started my position as a school counselor at Moorestown High School in September 2010. I wore my red shirt on my first day of my professional career. The MEA and Board of Education had not yet reached a fair settlement. I was green and bright-eyed. I was unaware of the lasting implications that contract negotiations have on the morale of our staff as a whole. However, every 3 years since then, I again feel like the contributions that my colleagues and I make to our school district on a daily basis are not valued. In 2010, there were 8 school counselors and a full-time SAC at Moorestown High School. Budget cuts have resulted in the elimination of 3 certificated positions in the high school counseling office since that time. The demands of the position have increased since 2010. Let me repeat that. The demands of the position have increased. I think we all agree that mental health is paramount with our students. What is lacking in this thinking is actionable recognition that our staff's mental health matters too. I am responsible for addressing the social, emotional, academic, and career development needs of hundreds of students. It is not unusual for my colleagues and me to spend hours outside of the contractual workday to respond to questions of students and parents and guardians. We dedicate time during the summer months to further develop professionally. As educators, we are consistently tasked with doing more with less resources. I truly believe that in order for Moorestown to continue its excellence, its history of academic excellence, our school district must hire and retain highly qualified staff. Educators must be respected and compensated like the professionals that we are. I am no longer green, but I am still the MEA. Every educator in this room deserves for this Board of Education to work with our association to reach a fair settlement. This is why this is personal. I am the MEA.
Good evening. My name is Perry Geller Clark, and I have taught in this district for 4 decades. It's true. It's been my honor and privilege to do so, but tonight I am not reading my words. I'm reading the words of my colleague, John Bishop, who was out sick. He has taught here for over 30 years, and I am sharing this letter for him. He says, "My thanks to the Moorestown Township Board of Education and everyone in attendance for the opportunity to address you this evening. I'm honored to stand with all my valued colleagues of Moorestown Township Public Schools, albeit in spirit only. In my view, many of the insightful comments offered this evening speak to something very important: what is seen and what is unseen. 2 recent examples. Several Asian American Pacific Islander students of Moorestown High School stood before a diverse group of district teachers, staff members, and administrators during a PD session held in the MHS Media Center a few weeks ago, each sharing their unique, honest insights on their experiences as AAPI students within our Moorestown schools. Their impact on the gathering was profound, and the confidence and agency each of these students displayed was remarkable. During one of the time out of joint program sessions held last week at the high school, one of the program's formerly incarcerated teachers shared his difficult experiences in the educational system as he was growing up and openly wept as he recalled the trauma that he suffered and continues to suffer because of this. We were all touched by his honesty, and it was our high school students participating in the program who were the first to console this man and to thank him for his sharing and for his vulnerability. This is powerful stuff, but two examples of similarly powerful experiences happening in classrooms and instructional spaces throughout our public school district every day. No, you likely won't hear about these experiences in a newsletter, an email, or a social media post. The students know these experiences are happening. Our staff members know these experiences are happening. And if you are engaged and inquiring, you too will know, seen and unseen. He ends. As this will be the final time I have the gracious opportunity and great honor to address this gathering, please allow me to offer this demand, challenge, or perhaps simply this humble plea that we all find a way to reestablish the partnership, the allyship that is necessary for the educational experiment of which we're all a part to succeed. In so doing, let us all, students, staff members, administrators, Board of Education members, and community members, aspire to that which must be the purpose and goal of every endeavor. Thank you very much. I am a member of the MEA.
Hello, my name is Ethan Benton, and I've been a teacher here in Moorestown for 16 years. I appreciate you all for being here in person tonight and for giving us this opportunity to address the board and the community. At our last school board meeting, we recognized that actions speak louder than words. Tonight, we hear how your actions are negatively impacting all of us. To that end, I've been trying to figure out what the Board of Education is trying to accomplish with their current actions in this negotiating process. Since March, when the impasse was declared, I have struggled to understand the board's end game. Are the board's actions simply financially motivated? But in a time when inflation has caused the price of everything to go up, shouldn't that also apply to Moorestown? Nobody likes costs to rise, but it's our reality. In a time when teachers are fleeing the profession in droves, does Moorestown want to continue to attract the best teachers? Will that continue if in every contract negotiation, they look to extract as much as they can while offering very little? Does the Board of Education care if Moorestown Township Public Schools remains a desirable destination for teachers to dedicate their lives to? Or is it simply about the bottom line? Please understand that your actions of continuing this antagonistic approach to these contract negotiations not only makes it personal for me, but also has lasting negative consequences on this school community. The old adage that comes to my mind is you get what you pay for. Are the board's actions politically motivated? In a time of such polarization and divisiveness, does the board really think that now is the time to take actions that needlessly raise tension between the stakeholders in this community? Wouldn't now be a better time to show up and demonstrate to our kids how to work together, to forge a collaborative effort that demonstrates the importance of achieving around common goals rather than focus on individual wants? Wouldn't reaching a fair settlement rather than fanning the flames of discord be the better course of action to take? If the actions are financially or politically motivated, then one needs to ask if the board's actions are really being taken for the benefit of the students of Moorestown. I know that when I show up to work, and I'm sure it's the same for the hundreds of dedicated educators behind me, that this job is important, and that's what makes it personal to all of us. Teaching the children of this town to the best of our abilities has always been our primary goal, and it always will be. Unfortunately, with the board's inaction to work with us to achieve a fair settlement, I'm not sure we share that same goal. I'm Ethan Benton. I'm part of the MEA, and that's why it's personal to
Thanks
all
for
of
your
us.
comments.
Hello, my name is Angie Silvari from 414 Parker. I'm a parent. Hello, members of the board. I want to thank you all for all the support for our children. You are here because you want what's best for them. That's why I am here, to support the very people who ensure our children's success, the teachers. I feel so fortunate to have my son go to this wonderful school district. He has thrived ever since preschool at Roberts and now second grade at Baker. None of us could have known what the pandemic would be like for anyone. Our teachers worked extremely hard to ensure the kids had what they needed to succeed. Our teachers worked overtime, did extra one-on-ones with our children and the parents. Also, now they are working to ensure that they are on track. I'm here asking you to come to a conclusion with a fair settlement before their contract ends. The teachers take care of our kids. We need to make sure that they are taken care of also. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jenny Simic and I'm a parent. I'm going to turn my back, unfortunately, to the awesome teachers that are here tonight so that I can address the board. Jenny Simic, 317 Bridgeboro Road. It's nice to see so many familiar faces up here and some new ones. Thank you all for allowing me to speak this evening in support of our unbelievably talented and dedicated teachers in an effort to move this board to action to settle their contract now. I'm going to be brief and I'm going to be to the point. If this pandemic has taught us one thing, it's that everyone in this room is here tonight on borrowed time. Time that could be at home spent with their own family and their children. I'm sorry. Instead, each of us, all of us, have made the decision to be here this evening to do the thankless work that's required to ensure the children's future success. Which brings me to my first point of two. Thank you. It's as simple as that. I'm here to say thank you. We are very grateful for the time and the talent that all of you as administrators and volunteers give freely to help make our children's education exceptional. You're an invaluable asset to the school district and to our community. In front of me, I see a group of familiar faces, talented, accomplished individuals, doctors, attorneys, dedicated mothers and fathers. Your efforts are rarely acknowledged. You come here voluntarily every month to tackle an agenda full of seemingly impossible tasks while defending against a barrage of complaints from all sides and internally. It can't be understated that yours is a thankless job. Not unlike the jobs of two other groups that are here tonight, two other groups of dedicated and passionate people here, our fearless teachers and our feisty parents. Many of us here tonight belong to at least two of these groups. Potentially, a lot of us belong to three of the groups. Despite our fatigue and our exhaustion, without acknowledgement or praise, not seeking glory, everyone comes, every administrator, every teacher, every parent, every day with an effort to do their job to the best of their ability. And while maybe we're sitting on different sides of the room or opposite sides of the dais, sometimes we find ourselves seated across a negotiation table, we're all the same. We're all here tonight, every one of us, for the continued benefit of our students. The second thing I'd like to say is this, and this is going to sting. It should not require a pandemic for this body to recognize the value of our teachers. I'm going to repeat that. It should not require a global health crisis for us to recognize the value our teachers provide.
Thanks. Please conclude. Thank you. Hey, Do we have any more commenters? All right, seeing no one approaching, I'll entertain a motion to close the first public comment. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. We appreciate all of the comments. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Up to number 8, which would be the reports of the board. So we've got, let's see, A, Business Administrator Board Secretary reports. We have 4, let's see, I'm sorry, 5 items under that. Number 1, financial reports of the board secretary. Number 2, treasurer's report. Number 3, cafeteria report. Number 4, the approval of budget transfers. And number 5, the approval of the bills. So I'll entertain a motion for approval of items 1 through 5.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Next, we have the recommendations of the superintendent. A, policies and procedures, the ones we had mentioned before in the committee report for first and second reading. I'll entertain a motion for approval of items 1 and 2. Thank you. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, thanks. Moving on, letter B, educational program. We have the Burlington County Alternative School Placement for 21-22, home instruction for the same time period, homeless placements. Those 3 items. Motion for approval? Thank you. All in favor? Or I'm sorry, any questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, moving on to letter C. Number 1, travel expenditures approval requests. Number 2, approval of state contract and consortium vendor purchases. Number 3, donations. Number 4, the tax schedule. 5, the annual 21-22 nursing plan. Number 6, authorization for lease purchase. And 7, the bid award for janitorial services. Sorry, continuing. 8, joint transportation agreement. 9, the Phoenix Advisors approval. 10, resolution for participation in cooperative pricing system. Number 11, tuition rates. 12, non-resident tuition students. 13, BIATA contracted substitute nursing, school nursing services for 22-23. Number 14, overnight student trip. So all of those items may have a motion to approve items 1 through 14. Thank you. Claudia. Sandra. Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions?
I'm going to abstain from number 7.
All right, thank you. That motion carries. All right, up to D. We have items 1 through 12 here: appointments, retirement, resignation, change in position, hour, start date, location. 22-23, a reappointment, salary adjustment, leaves of absence, substitutes, athletics, co-curricular clubs, PD presenters, summer testing proctors, transportation dispatcher job description, and anti-bullying coordinator job description. Is it number 1 that's amended as we discussed in executive? Yeah. Okay, and so number 1, there's that amendment. Moves up a start date, I believe. So may I entertain a motion for approval of items 1 through 12?
Second.
All right, any comments, questions on these? Mr. Heiser, a roll call vote, please.
Dr. Alberti,
Yes.
Mrs. Arcaro Burns, Mrs. Fallows Macaluso, Mrs. McCopolis, Mrs. Morano,
Yes.
Ms. Romano, Mr. Villanueva, Dr. Snyder, Mr. Weeks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Okay. Letter 10, X, suspensions. We got the suspensions as in the exhibit and the superintendent's HIB report, which we discussed in executive. Motion to approve these 2 items.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstention, one abstention. Okay, 11 is informational only. We have our enrollment information and so forth. Now we are back to public comment period. Now this is a open public comment period. It's for items that may not necessarily be on the agenda.
I think we missed the old and new business.
I'm sorry. I skipped both of those. That's why I got to do my check marks. Thank you, Mr. Villanueva. All right, old business. Is there any old business?
I don't know if it's old or new business, but we talked about this in finance and operations, and I failed to mention this in my report, but we did talk about public comment and the fact that we could use the new and old business section for board members to address, if they so wish, issues that were raised in public comment. And so I wanted to do that. The notion, I think, I don't speak for everybody up here, but I think the notion that we don't care is just wrong. Like, I can tell the negotiation committee of Mr. Weeks, Dr. Snyder, Dr. Alberti, and myself, and Mr. Heiser, who is a member of the committee, but has spent tireless time. Collectively, we've spent hundreds of hours trying to get this deal done, and to suggest that we don't care and weren't there last week. We were there. We participated in a mediation that ended after midnight. So I don't know, I can't leave a misstatement that we weren't there. That it's simply wrong. And so I feel compelled to correct that for the record. And it takes two to make an agreement. And we want to do that. We are here spending as much time as we can to get this done. It takes two parties. I think it was Ms. Glennon that said numbers don't lie. And I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Since the 2019 contract was signed, there's at least 11 fewer certificated positions. Right? Due to budget. And it's not for lack of increasing taxes. We've increased taxes every year that I've been on the board, including this year, above 2%. So please understand that we are trying our best to do what is best for the students here. And we need teachers, right? We value you and everything that you do. And we don't want to enter into an agreement that will require fewer of your faces to be here. I hope you understand that. And if you don't, I can't convince you, but I just feel compelled. I appreciate hearing all of your comments. I think it was Mr. Bishop in his letter said there's things that are seen and unseen. There's a lot unseen. And we can't talk about it. But I just wanted to, I felt compelled to say something. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Villanueva. I apologize again for missing that section. Any other old or new business? Any other comments? Okay. All right. Again, thank you for your comments, Mr. Villanueva. Let's move. Again, same rules apply to public comment. This is not on non-agenda items. So, given those same, let's have a motion to open public comment. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
Lisa Trapani, 350 Bridgeboro Road. Like you, I feel compelled to speak and to respond. to the fact that I, in this room, have been doing this process for 25 years. So unlike Perry, I haven't been teaching here for 4 decades, but almost. So every single time, except for the past 2 times when members of both sides had the fortitude and the courage to sit down and say, we don't need outsiders to come and do this for us. We can do it. It started with Pete Palco. We did it. It ended last time with other board members who also had the courage to do that. So where there's a will, there's a way. We don't need an outsider to come in and tell us how to take care of our children, because I consider them to be my children, and I always have. So for you to sit here and say, this is about both parties, you're right, it's about both parties. And to look at the numbers are there. There's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of things we can't say, but it's all factual. It's all factual. So I have been told through 5 rounds of negotiations that we can't get this done. And except for 1 time, we have gotten it done before the end of the school year. And they were fair settlements. They were settlements in which we didn't get everything that we wanted and you didn't get everything that you wanted, but they were fair. And as someone else said, we are well above the average in this county. As a matter of fact, we are the flagship district, not only of this county, of South Jersey. We have earned the respect, and we have earned a fair settlement.
My name is Lorenzo Eagles again. I feel compelled to say something as well. Mr. Villanueva, I was the one who.
Excuse me, Mr. Eagles, please do not address board members directly. Thank you.
The perception that we had as a staff was that there was no one there, because we were. I do not mean to say at all that there was not a board presence at the negotiating meeting. So for full clarification, there's no doubt that apparently at another site via Zoom, the board did negotiate with the MEA on last Monday. So I want to clarify that. I don't mean to at all to state factual inaccuracies. That's not what I'm about. Okay, but I do want you to know the perception that we all had of those negotiations is that it didn't feel like that the effort was being made, okay, that we thought was pledged at the last meeting. And that's the perception that a lot of us carried through. Not that you weren't there physically, not that you weren't there literally, but that you weren't there putting the same kind of effort in. Appreciate your comments, but that's where we were coming from. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Seeing no one approach the mic, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion to close the second public comment. Oh, I'm sorry. Just under the wire.
Thank you. I think one more parent should speak. My name is
Name,
Lisa.
name and address. please. I'm
Lisa
sorry.
O'Donnell.
Yeah, thank you.
I live at 145 Avon Terrace, and I've been a resident of Moorestown for 28 years. I thank you on the board for your service. I know it can be an extraordinarily thankless job. But I do want to say that my 3rd child was born 18 years ago this week with the genetic challenge of Down syndrome. And he's been in the district since he was 3 years old. And I haven't always agreed with the district, but I've had a ton of respect for the administrators and the teachers that have carried my Daniel through the last 15 years, from the time he was 3 until now. And it's not easy. And the flagship district is often measured on the high SAT scores and the Ivy Leagues and the lacrosse championships. But in the trenches, teachers over the last 15 years have made sure that my son was able to stand on this stage and address his entire 7th grade class to explain what it is to have Down syndrome. The baby born that I didn't think would even go to kindergarten was in college prep classes in the high school, Zooming in to his teachers. And I had the challenge and the privilege to be next to him for those almost 2 years and to really see what happens. I'm not a member of the MEA, but I have immense respect for what these folks do. I don't know all the details of why we can't get a contract, but I think after what we've all been through, this is not the time to ask people to make less. This is not the time in the face of extraordinary inflation for the first time in decades to ask people to take home paychecks that don't buy as much. And I really believe that the unity in this town can do great things, and to fracture that at this time would be tragic. So thank you for your time. I am a big supporter of the MEA.
Okay, I can't look back there because probably like half of the people back there in these red shirts taught one of my 4 daughters at one time or another. But my friend Lisa O'Donnell got up here. By the way, my name's Sandy Brooks. I live at 11 Value Terrace. I apologize. And when Lisa had the courage to come up here, I thought, I hate speaking, but I'm going to. This might be the only chance I get. So my youngest daughter, Megan, is graduating in 4 weeks. And I get really emotional because Megan has a learning disability and she's going to college. And I didn't think this would ever happen for her. And it's because of like 50 teachers or maybe 60 in this room that have taught my oldest, who's 28, and then my other daughter who just graduated last weekend from Vanderbilt. I have to put that in. I mean, amazing schools that my girls have gone to. And now my youngest daughter, who has a learning disability, got accepted to many schools, but is going to college. And it's like a dream for me. And it's because of all these people in this room in one way or another. And that's why I wanted to work for this school district, because they got my daughters to where they are, and they're all successful young women who I'm very proud of. And every time one graduates, I'm filled with pride. But this June 17th, when I'm in the audience and I see my daughter Megan get her diploma, and I know she's going to college and be supported, I will be forever ever grateful for all the people in this room. And I'm so proud to be part of the school district and part of the MEA. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Diane Mason. I live 546 Virgin Island Drive in Williamstown. I've been an employee here for 21 years. I'm a paraprofessional. In 2019, I had cancer. And all I want to say is that every day I came to work through my treatments for the children. And that's all I have to say.
Should wait a little longer this time. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right, we'll move on then. Motion, actually, we have a motion and a second. So we'll just vote on closing public comment. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, abstentions? Okay. So I think we're to the point. We'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Second. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Get home safely.